Hello and good afternoon. So today we are hopefully going to finish my player imports series. This should be the last episode that I'm going to make, or certainly for the foreseeable future, because I pretty much think I've covered everything that gets people, into player imports and covers all the essential things. I know Jagex are probably going to be working on a few player import updates and expansions. So, if there's a need to make an update along the line, then I obviously will. But for now, today, what we're going to cover is the last few things around the port that kind of basically matter. So the first thing that we're going to cover is the Barmaids special missions. So if we head on up to the bar in a second, seem to be lagging quite hard for some reason. Brilliant. Thank you, Jagex. Appreciate that. Yeah, as I was saying, so we head up to the bar here. There's a barmaid here. She has a couple of functions. The first one I'm going to talk about is the gossip function. So if we go to here, she says, "Got a word of a little something special for your crew." Basically, every Wednesday she gives you an additional special mission. So what it does is it will replace the third mission in your missions here. So as you can see, it's nothing important. It's always best to check that. So if we go back to her and just press gossip, and yeah, we replace that. Okay, you're going to love that. Lovely, I'm sure I am. So what it does generally is it gives you about double what you would get for a normal trade, for a normal region resource. So in this case, obviously, it's steel, and you can see there, it's basically double what one of your normal missions is. So if when you first get into the region, it's quite a handy mission, and I would always recommend doing it because generally the requirements are not too heavy. 8,000 on all three skills is quite tough, I suppose, but it's worth it purely for you get double the resources basically. So that's the first thing to look at. So I would always go for the Barmaids tip. And as I say, you get that on a Wednesday. And generally, when you pop into the port first thing on a Wednesday, it will always say to you, rumour has it that Sarulla the barmaid has some juicy gossip for you. You can see it's highlighted down here in yellow. So you'll always kind of be reminded. But I mean, I don't particularly do it now because, you can see I've got a serious amount of port resources, so I don't really need it. But they're very good for when you first get into regions or when you're trying to accrue all these port resources. So yeah, that's the first thing to cover, and we will be back with the next clip. So the next thing to cover is and again it features the barmaid, and it's a mini game called Last Orders. So basically you'll see this highlighted on the map, and what you do is you go to the bar, you become the barmaid, and here you click on the bar, and if you see in the top left hand corner, you'll fill up your two beer glasses. Then what you have to do is really simple, is you have to give all the customers the beer glasses. So, and every time you run out, you go back to the bar. So obviously you can see I'm just running around and giving the various customers their beer or whatever drink it is. Two things to say. There are always at least 3 people upstairs. In this instance, you can see I think there's 6. So I generally do that first. Don't know why. I don't suppose it makes a shit of a difference, but that's just the way I do it. So yeah, you basically give them your 2 drinks and you keep going around and just remembering what you do. If you look on the map, the yellow dots are the ones that you have to give it to. So the rest of the port becomes empty whilst you become the barmaid. Obviously it's a bit of an instance thing. So the yellow dots don't disappear once you've given a glass of beer to one of the characters, but what they do is when you hover the mouse over them, you no longer have an option to give or serve patron, as you can see on the screen there. So that's obviously one way of remembering, but they don't disappear once you serve them. So what I find, what I normally do, I didn't do in this clip, is I serve upstairs and then I serve all the people outside. Some of them are static and some of them move, which is a bit of a pain, especially ones that move from outside to in and vice versa, because you think you've served them and you haven't. Now, the point of doing this mini game is that you get rewards, and when you finish doing this, we'll get a little reward screen and we can talk about what you get and why it's worthwhile doing these mini games, which are, and I should say, these occur completely randomly within the port, so there's no kind of way around it. And as you can see, these are the rewards you get. We'll cover the rewards later, but you can see that's basically the point of doing them. And the next one that we have here is Meg. Now, Meg appears in the port every Wednesday, and basically she asks you a series of questions, she buggers off for a week, and then she comes back and you basically get XP and coin rewards. So they depend on the skills. It seems to be quite random. If you right click and help Meg, personally what I generally do is I do read them and try to answer them vaguely logically, but what I've taken to doing now is holding spacebar and pressing 1. You generally get 3 or 4 options per question. She'll ask you 3 questions, and I'm not even sure, to be honest, if the answers make a massive difference. So yeah, you just answer what she says. You can either do it by random or, you know, try to answer it, and you'll get a reward, as you saw at the beginning of this clip. And finally, this is the last port mini game. It is started by going speaking to the black marketeer. Another thing I will say is you can tell when you have a mini game available in port. Obviously, if you look up at my mini map here, you'll see this little yellow sign, which is the one over the black marketeer. When Last Orders, the Barmaid game's available, it'll be over her head. When this game is available here with the black marketeer, it'll be over his, and Meg is down south of the black marketeer here. So if we go and talk to the black marketeer, it'll give you an option to play a simple favour. I won't bore you with the text here, but basically one of the Death Lotus assassins appears and bribes him into pointing out people in the port that need killing. So yeah, help the black marketeer work off his debt to the Death Lotus assassins. This is quite an irritating game, I'm not going to lie. What you have to do, and you'll work this out by doing it, is you have to go around the barrels here. Right, here's one. So the Death Lotus assassins basically hide in these barrels. And I'm going to lag again, brilliant. Yeah, so you go up to them, and they says, my target is a dangerous something. Try again. They're wearing a hat. That one should be easy to spot. Just checking. Okay, so what you do then is once you've got a target vaguely, you go down here and you can click on all the people. Lucked out. So I clicked on the first guy that had a hat and it killed him instantly. And then you'll see here there are 4 Death Lotus assassins left to aid. And you basically go around. Here's another one. I'll try and point out where all the locations are. My target is a murderer deserving of his fate. They're wearing a hat. So they give you really ridiculously vague descriptions of people, like a hat or they're wearing trousers. And it will say, if you click on the wrong person, it'll say, like there, it says they're wearing a different hat or a different top. I mean, you probably could do it by logic and try and work out which person they're on about, but I find that that's not the right way to do it. I just go around and click all of them until I find the right person. I'm sure some people will rage and say that's a really inefficient way of doing it, but that's just the way I do it. So what we'll do is I'll just pause it for here until I've got rid of a few more. And here we are again. My target traffics with demons, not to be trusted. They're wearing a hat. Yeah, as I say, it's quite a frustrating mini game because you just have to run around and click literally everybody you see. Sometimes it's not even as good as they're wearing a hat. Sometimes it can be they're wearing a shirt or something really vague. And as I say, you just have to kind of know where the barrel locations are. These are the most irritating too, because you can't see them until you get around the corner. So yeah, you just go to the barrels, get a target, run back. Funnily enough, all it says is they're wearing a hat. So I've got 2 more left to do, and then we'll talk about the rewards at the end. Would you believe I got that one first kill again? I don't think that's ever happened. Normally this minigame takes me ages, because just finding the Death Lotus assassins and then finding the target can take as long as just finding the assassin itself. There he is. So if you spend too much time, eventually a yellow cursor will appear above the barrel, so it will tell you. But yeah, as I say, it's just quite a frustrating minigame because it can take ages. and when you get a rubbish reward at the end, you kind of think, well, fuck my life. Why have I just spent 10 minutes doing this to get rubbish rewards? But, you know, there is the off chance that you'll get it. And there we go, we've got the last one. So you finish again, and it'll bring up what we've got, the reward screen again, event completed. Now, what we'll do is we'll just head over and I'll talk about the rewards. So, how you add them and use them is when you select a ship. I don't really have any missions to do, but for the sake of arguments. So we're on this ship here, we go to add effect, and this is what they are. They can be incredibly useful at times, I have to say. 10% speed bonus, 10% morale, combat and seafaring. The morale, combat and seafaring ones are very good, obviously. It's worth saying that they do stack, so if you've got 4, they can be very, very good. Now we're on to the ones that really kind of count a bit more. Protect crew. So the lifeboat thing, once you activate a lifeboat on a ship, if your ship runs into any difficulties or disasters, it basically saves all your crew. Kind of like the golems do when they sacrifice their life to save someone else. But this just, pardon me, saves the whole crew, which is obviously a good thing. And then I'm not sure whether they go once your boat's had an accident or whatever, but they're obviously very good. I don't think I've ever had this one, the Lotus Tint Spectacles, which gives you 50% crew XP for the mission that you activate it on. So again, that could be really good for when you're leveling up your crew. And this one I like as well, Fortune of the Seas, 10% rewards or penalties. So let's just say you go for a 10 plate mission. If you add that, you're going to get an extra plate. So it can be very worthwhile. Those are all the effects that you get, and they are what you get from doing the mini games. Now, obviously, it's entirely up to you whether you think it's worth doing the mini games. I certainly did them a lot more when I was first starting out with ports, just because I found the bonuses to be worthwhile. Now, I have to say, the only one I really do is Meg, just because you generally get a large XP lamp off her most weeks, and it tends to be in the skills associated with ports. But I have to say, I do seem to get quite a few hunter ones. But, you know, this week I got a Slayer one, which was really nice, you know, 25k Slayer for nothing. So I would definitely recommend doing Meg all the time. If you are a bit newer to ports or not so far into the missions and stuff, then I would definitely recommend doing the mini games as they pop up. And as I said before, the Barmaids tip when you're in a new region is always worth doing, just because this sort of gives you double rewards for the same kind of mission, and that can make quite a difference. So I think we will, as I say, end the video here, and possibly even the series, unless there are anything that someone sort of points out to me that I haven't covered or is really worth covering. And as ever, I'm happy to answer comments or messages that I get from people from time to time. And it's nice to know that, you know, from some people this series has been appreciated. That's always good to know. It kind of gives me motivation to want to make more of this sort of stuff. So yeah, I will end the video there, guys, and as ever, I'll speak to you soon.